A near full slate of games, a ton of upsets, and a reshuffle in the top 10. Clayton Collier here bringing you my AP Top 25 ballot and the overall results as well. 12 of last week's top 25 lost games, so a lot of movement, but not at the top. Baylor staying at number 1, Gonzaga bumping up to number 2 overall, both my poll and the overall AP poll. That was because of losses for Duke and Purdue as well. We'll get to those in a minute. Both those programs dropping quite a bit. They were at 2 and 3 last week prior to their losses. I had Auburn at number 3 after a 2-0 week for them. They beat both Florida and at South Florida. They've now won 11 straight games, only 1 loss. Big game coming up against Alabama on Tuesday for them. I had them at 3. Poll had them at 4, switching with UCLA. Wisconsin is a team I have been talking about for weeks that deserves more attention and more respect nationally. The Badgers proved it with the win at Purdue. That is not easy to do, get a win in Indiana over the Boilermakers. 3-0 week for them. They now have wins over Houston, Iowa, Indiana, Marquette, St. Mary's, Texas A&M, and of course Purdue as well. Their only losses for the Badgers, Ohio State and Providence. And that loss to Providence without Johnny Davis as well. So 13 overall in the AP. I had them all the way up at 5. I'm very impressed with the Badgers. Michigan State at 6 in my poll, 10 in the AP. 7 in mine, all the way up to 5 is the undefeated USC, one of only 2 teams undefeated with Baylor and USC left in all of college basketball. We'll get a little bit more of that as well in just a bit. But as for Purdue, now 2 conference losses, both at home, so I dropped them down to 8 in my poll, 7 overall in the AP Top 25. Hey, how about LSU rebounding after last week's loss to Auburn? Great week beating both Kentucky and Tennessee. I had them all the way up to 9 in my poll, 12 overall in the AP Top 25 this weekend. Duke, after the loss to Miami, they enter my ballot with number 25, the Hurricanes do. They have now won 9 straight as well. As for Duke, taking that unranked loss, dropped to 10 in my poll, 8 overall in the AP Top 25. Arizona, they come in at number 11 here. They have Colorado on Thursday. Overall, Iowa State beat Texas Texas Tech, lost to Oklahoma. Kansas, meanwhile, beat Oklahoma State, and they lost to Texas Tech. This will all get sorted out on Tuesday in Lawrence. Jayhawks hosting the Cyclones for that one. So this right here, we'll figure out who's going up, who's staying around here as well in this one. Houston at 14, Villanova 15, Ohio State coming in at 16. They dropped to 16 with the loss to Indiana. Providence, I had them all the way up at 10 last week, but they get blown out in Milwaukee by Marquette. They dropped to 17 in my poll, 23 overall in the AP Top 25. We have Seton Hall and Xavier in the Big East to follow them at 18 and 19 in my poll, 20 in the AP, 17 in the Top 25. Texas Tech, the up and down week. They win one Big 12 game, they lose another Big Top one, both of those ranked ones. They drop up to they move up, I should say, to number 20 in my poll, just ahead of Tennessee, who they beat out in New York earlier this season. Tennessee, meanwhile, taking the loss to LSU, they drop down to 21. Big SEC matchup coming here between Tennessee and Kentucky Saturday in Lexington. As for Colorado State, they were at 16 in my poll last week. They were one of 3 teams left that were unbeaten headed into the week, but they got pummeled by San Diego State. Their first loss of the season. They drop out of my poll, as once you look at them without the undefeated glamour around them, not a whole lot to support the top 25. Same went for Texas. They weren't undefeated, but their unranked loss, both them and Alabama, had them out of my poll in this one. Alabama has one of the strangest overall resumes this year. They have wins over Gonzaga, Houston, and UT, but now have 4 unranked losses after losing to Mizzou as well. And entering into my top 25 this week, Loyola Chicago, Illinois, and Miami. We already talked about the Hurricanes. Loyola Chicago and Illinois have been waiting on the almost in for me for several weeks. Once we had 3 teams coming out, they get their chance coming in. Oklahoma was my 26th team. They beat Iowa State. A win over Texas could put them over the top next week. Have a comment? Tweet me at Clayton J. Collier. Until then, I'll be back next week with my ballot explainer.